Welcome to No Hack Snacks, a series of short interviews with experimenters, optimizers, marketers, and product builders from all over the world. In this one, I talk to e-commerce conversion rate expert András Kobza about the role of friction in e-commerce. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this in the future. Andy, I have a question for you. Should you always be trying to reduce friction in e-commerce?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Actually, most of the cases, yes, because you really want a frictionless or at least a much seamless experience for your customers to go through your website. So you don't want friction in the checkout process. You don't want friction in finding the products. So in most cases, yes, you should reduce friction, but there are always some cases where friction actually makes sense. Let me give you an example. For example, if you're selling high-end products where there's limited supply, so things like luxury products like Rolex or Ferrari does this, is basically they have friction built into their sales process, which means you don't get access to the product just like that. You have to go on a waiting list. You have to buy maybe a basic product to get access to the high-end product. And basically that gives you extra anticipation, and that actually adds value to the process. It's an edge case. So most cases, yes, you should reduce friction as much as possible, but there are cases where friction actually is a good thing and adds value at the end of the process.
That's an interesting. I think most people have not bought a Ferrari online that will be listening to this podcast at least.
True.
But you know about this. So they're trying to build up the price and build up the hype around their products. And well, usually it works. I mean, look at those silly designer brands with big text on them where people, want to get in and want to show that they have them. And I guess it makes sense. But tell me about easy or good ways to reduce friction for the most of us who are not buying a Ferrari online.
Let me just get back to one thing. Yeah, you don't buy a Ferrari online, but for me, that the whole process, it's sort of like I don't like the word omni-channel because it's been used too much, but basically online, offline experiences, at the end of the day, it's a sales process. Online is not a target, it's a channel of selling something. So if the offline process has friction in it and it's deliberate to raise the value, then that works like that easily. Right. The easiest way to reduce friction is basically trying to get someone looking through your website who is not yourself. That's the first thing, because my own e-commerce businesses, I don't see the trees from the forest, or the other way. I don't know what the saying is. Basically, if someone else who's a target of your product, you have them look through it and comment it, you realize there are lots of small friction points that for you make sense, but for the end customer, it does not. So the basic, like the 101 version is just have some people review your site. That's a really, really basic. Who are not CRO experts, they're potential customers of yours. If you go with that and you get some momentum with that, then you can move on to bigger CRO projects and analysis. But that's the basic thing. Have actual customers look to your site and tell you what they think.
That is a great advice, because CRO is a process, it's a mindset. It takes months and years, but there's always some easy stuff that you're missing because you're so used to the website. And to go back to Steve Krug's book, Don't Make Me Think, like this is basically what it is. It's the most basic user testing. I think he said you need 3 users to find 80 to 90% of all the issues. Yeah. It is that simple if you find the right users who are willing to participate. So you just sit them and maybe sit with them or remotely, whatever it is, and just tell them, hey, can you try to figure out what this is, how it works? Like, how does it go?
Yeah, exactly. That's basically, we usually work with the 10 people when you do user testing. Again, it is sort of arbitrary, but then you get really a statistically robust model of it. It's basically, you give them tasks that they would do anyway. My main product is I sell shoes online. That's the fashion business that I'm in. I tell them, okay, look for shoes for a specific event. Or if you're going running, look for that. And then they start looking for it and they comment what they're doing while they're searching or while they're looking for the product. And those comments are at least as valuable as what they're actually doing, but you need to see both. So you actually have a screen share with them. And you also have to pay attention to the mobile desktop ratio, which you should reflect what your actual numbers are. So if you have 70% mobile, then have 7 out of 10 people do it on mobile. If you have the demographics or sociographics, that should more or less cover your target market. And they just tell you what they're doing. And if there's a difference between what they're doing and what they're saying, then believe what they're doing, actually not what they're saying. And that's also something that's pretty interesting.
That's great advice. This is the key thing, because people will be embarrassed because they don't get it and they don't know how to use it, and they will pretend that they know. But if you just watch and just monitor what they're doing, this is excellent. One thing about tests like this is the quick and easy usability testing. It's basically what it is. It's often like it's the hygiene factor of CRO. It's kind of looked down upon because it's the most basic thing. Why do most companies and brands still don't get it right then? Like, I mean, it looks too easy almost. Doesn't it?
I mean, there are two parts. One, they don't do any kind of testing at all and just start, no research and just start testing whatever comes in their mind. Sometimes you get winners from that, sometimes you don't, but it's not really a robust process. And the other thing is that, as you said, it's not really sexy. I mean, this basic user testing, it's quote unquote boring, but it's like really, really useful because like 95% of what you actually need to test is going to be in those user research tests or whatever, interviews. So basically, if you get that right, you'll get your test program, your CRO roadmap for the next year or two, just from those things that you realize. And then you retest. I mean, it's not something you do once and then that's finished. You can retest it every year, half year, 2 years, again, whatever your process requires. But people will tell you the way they work with your website, interact with your website, what the problems are, what their problems are, and how they want it solved. So you don't have to it's not rocket science. Just listen to your customers. Don't make them think. And the level one before that is just check your website again with yourself. Check if everything is working. I mean, I have actually clients where some buttons don't actually work, or you get 404, and it's so annoying that they're pretty big companies, and you get these the fix broken stuff first mentality, and then going to listen to your customers and don't make them think. So basically, the first level is that, and then you go forward, and you can sophisticate it. I mean, if you have like 2 million visitors a day, you have lots of ideas. If you have 2,000, it's a different ballgame. And then you go into what is the most effective way to get the data you need.
So that's a really, really good point. And just to make a comparison to professional sports, like they want to be the best in the world, not us. We're past our prime when it comes to sports. Let's just put it that way. But everyone wants to be the best in the world. You need to stretch and you need to warm up. Like every freaking time, you need to stretch after a workout. You need to warm up before a workout, and that is the maybe boring, not sexy, like whatever work that. If you don't do that every day, there's no freaking way, no chance in hell that you will be successful.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. And also, if you look at like Michael Jordan, which is like one of the best athletes ever, he was doing like 3-point shots 5 hours a day, which is like really boring. But he had like the muscle memory of shooting the 3-pointers. And that's why he was one of the reasons he was successful. The basics were there, and he was completely working on that.
I'm personally offended you didn't use Nikola Jokic as an example of the best basketball player ever, but I'll let it slide because it's Michael Jordan. And that is good. Muscle memory. This is really what it is. And these usability testing, they should be, and like you said, this is not a one-off thing. This is something that you should be doing depending on how much your brand changes, how much your website changes, the trends in the industry, whatever. Every few months, like at least every 6 months, you should get a few people and tell them, hey, try to get this task down on the website and tell me if it's easy, or watch them, basically.
Sure. That is one of the options. We also use like pop-up surveys for quick questions. Right. I mean, if you want to know something, okay, it's much less statistically robust than a user testing, but still it could give useful information, especially if you have a specific problem you want to answer. So yeah, there's so many options. I mean, there are also so many videos of this online. Just start doing the user testing, whatever method works for you, whatever you had the budget for, just start doing it.
You heard the man. Andy, thank you so much for being on No Hacks Snacks. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Have a nice day.